All right, we are live. What is going on? So, I'm going to be going over something called the triple threat. Now, this is a part of the Ultimate Athlete program. And the Ultimate Athlete is something that I've developed after years of trial and error through my own health and fitness journey, as well as after training dozens and dozens of clients to incredible transformations and ultimately building a lifestyle that is extremely sustainable that allows them to have a physique they're proud of. So, essentially, like, I'm going to be exposing how to become the ultimate athlete. Now, the ultimate athlete is the only way to truly create a life that you love, right? The first step is mastering your physique, followed by powerful life design. So, in this training, I'm going to go over my methods with you, and you're going to learn the kitchen gym, the Spartan Way, and the ultimate lifestyle. This is the only way to create the body that you've always dreamed of and keep it, right? Because there's a lot of things that you could do to actually achieve this crazy physique. Like, it could be very intense. I did 75 hard, where you're working out twice a day, you're sticking to a strict diet. Maybe you're trying to lose a lot of weight really quickly, so you go into an insane calorie deficit. But the thing is, it's just not sustainable, and you're not going to keep that up long term. And so as a result, once you're done with those challenges, you're just going to gain all the fat back. You're going to lose the confidence. You're going to lose the discipline, and you're going to go back to living the way that you were living before, which also wasn't getting you results. So how can you actually find something that gets you results and do it long term? This is exactly what the Ultimate Athlete is all about. So these methods are the secret to finally living the life you've always wanted. The traditional methods of, going to the gym 5-6 days a week, working out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, drinking these like disgusting mass gainer protein shakes, constantly tracking your macros and your calories, and eating out of Tupperware and living these lives of restriction is over, right? This is the ultimate lifestyle to turn your dreams into reality and not have to suffer while you do it. I'm about to expose the only way to create a life that you truly love, one that doesn't require restriction or constantly having to say no because you have all these parameters with which you're living, right? These methods will allow you to optimize your route to success. Here's the thing: everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Nobody has extra time, right? But why are some more successful than others? Okay, it comes down to one thing, and that one thing is leverage. What requires the least amount of effort with the maximum amount of return? That's what I wanted to focus on, right? I'm busy. I got a lot of other stuff that I want to do rather than being, in the gym, working out, meal prepping a bunch of food. I don't want to be doing all of that. I want to actually go out and live my life and enjoy myself and look good while I do it. So I wanted to find a way where I didn't have to be in the gym 5-6 days a week, that I didn't have to be constantly tracking all my macros and calories and, bringing Tupperware around and looking at the back of food labels to see, is this going to fit my macros? I didn't want any of that, right? But I wanted the physique. I wanted the discipline. And most importantly, I wanted the lifestyle. So the question comes down to, like, how do you actually live a life where you truly love every single day, right? And the main point of that is you have to be doing something where it's not a challenge. It's not something where you're counting down the days until you're done with this challenge or this program. You have to learn to live a healthy lifestyle that supports all of your wants and desires and allows you to, again, look and feel good while you're doing it too. So the first two techniques I'm going to go over with you guys, they focus on specific strategies, and the last one's going to tie them all together. So if you follow them closely, you will be able to finally achieve your dream physique without having to sacrifice the lifestyle that you want to live. So the first one that I'm going to go over is the kitchen gym. Okay. Now I want you to imagine that we have two people on two ends of the spectrum. Okay. The first is a guy over here. He's in the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week. He's lifting an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. This guy's so obsessed with the gym. He's probably going twice a day to the gym. Like, all he cares about is working out. Okay. He just wants to put on as much muscle as possible. But here's his downfall: he eats like absolute shit. He eats like a garbage can. He's always doing like the dirty bulk, whatever. He's on the like C diet, right? Whatever he sees, he eats. And we've all seen this guy at the gym, right? They're usually pretty big, but they're also pretty pudgy. They got some fat. If they're wearing like a shirt, they kind of look like they're fat. You never even guess that they're that strong. So it's never really a physique that people are, desiring to have in their own life. But are they strong? Yeah, they're definitely strong. Okay. Then on the other side of the spectrum, We have someone over here who they never go to the gym, they never lift, all they do is walk or run, right? But they have the cleanest diet in the world, right? All they eat is single ingredient, whole foods. They don't trash their body at all. They're not into processed foods. They don't eat like a bunch of desserts and cakes. So they're going to be, very, very thin. You'll be able to see some of their muscles just because they don't have that much body fat. But all in all, like, that's not really what you want to look like either. I'm sure you guys all know somebody that looks like this as well. Okay, where the magic happens is when you have the best of both worlds from these two. You have the perfect balance of somebody who likes going to the gym, right? They work out. They don't need to go 5, 6, 7 days a week. You can only go 3 days a week and still get incredible results. That's what all of my clients do. They only lift 3 times a week. Okay, and you pair that with somebody who has a very solid diet. They do a lot of walking, they do a lot of running, but they also lift. This is where the equilibrium, this is where the perfect balance is. And that is how you're able to achieve a physique that you are proud of, that turns necks, that gains respect from those around you, that you are excited to take your shirt off if you go to the pool or the beach because you've worked really hard to achieve this physique, right? And it came from having a proper balance of going to the gym a couple times a week and treating your body like a temple and really eating clean. Because here's the thing, just as important as lifting is, so is the kitchen. What you eat every single day matters so much, but so many people overlook it. Okay, here's the deal. Lifting, it's super important. We can't stray away from it. We have to lift. It is vital for building muscle and constructing a frame worth catching attention, right? Again, we want to snap necks. We want to turn heads because our physique is a very respect-worthy physique. Like, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to do this. Not everybody has this kind of physique. You walk down the street, most people are fucking obese. They're out of shape. So when they see something like this, it's rare, right? More muscle equals a higher metabolic rate. So you're going to be burning more calories just by sitting around doing nothing simply because you have more muscle. So the more muscle you have, the easier it is to stay in shape. You're also going to have greater power and explosiveness, right? We want to actually be able to potentially use our muscle if we need to protect our family, if we need to, if our car runs out of gas and we need to go run 10 miles to the nearest gas station to get something and we need to carry that gas can all the way back. Like, we can't do that. We are capable. God forbid that ever happens. Hope, knock on wood, it doesn't. But you have the peace of mind knowing that, hey, you actually do have some power behind the punch, and you can protect yourself, the people that you care about and love. On top of that, you have increased confidence. When you build muscle, there is a increased confidence that comes along with that. And on top of that, your clothes fit better. Again, you're going to have more confidence. You're going to look better when you go out. You're just going to feel better overall. Okay, then on the other side, we got the diet. Diet's going to overall improve your body composition. You're going to have more sustained energy. There's going to be more micronutrients in the food that you're eating. You can look really, really healthy on the outside, right? And this is pretty common in the bodybuilding world where it's like these guys, they look very muscular and they look healthy on the outside, but what does the internal state actually look like? They're eating all of this processed food. They're eating all these chemicals, a lot of them probably have issues that you're not even aware of. So although they might look healthy on the outside, their internal state is completely out of whack. And we don't want that, right? We want this synergy between our external appearance and our internal health. And that is what your diet is going to help you with a ton. So on top of that, you're going to get better sleep, which is going to result in better recovery, which is going to result in easier muscle mass gaining. Okay, proper hormone balance. If you're not eating the right diet, if you're not getting enough healthy fats, you're not going to have the right hormones. Your testosterone is going to tank. And overall, it's just going to make it harder for yourself to actually gain and keep muscle. And then on top of that, right, appearance is important. You're going to have improved skin, hair, and digestion. All around, cleaning up your diet is just going to help you tremendously. So when we combine both of those things together, you're going to have improved overall performance. You're going to have a more defined physique, less effort with better results, and that discipline that you're going to have with lifting, with eating certain foods and saying no to other foods is going to carry over into every other area of your life, whether that's in your business, in your relationships, when you're out traveling, whatever the case may be. That discipline is with you for the rest of your life. Okay? So here's the thing. Food, it's the longest relationship that you're going to ever have. right? And here's the thing, like you might only lift once a day, 3 times a week, okay? But you're gonna eat every single day, multiple times a day. Some people eat up to 5 times a day. Some people only eat one meal a day. But in general, you're always going to be eating more than you're working out. And so if you can't control what you're eating, you will never look the way that you want to. So you have to learn how to fuel properly, right? If you don't get the kitchen and the fuel source under wraps, doesn't matter how hard you work out, you're never going to look the way that you want to look. So getting really competent in the gym, right? It's very important, but becoming even more competent in the kitchen and what to eat, how to eat, that's even more important because you can't outwork a bad diet. You are a high performance machine and you are going to perform better with proper fuel, right? Plain and simple. Every single one of my clients, once they start eating clean, they start feeling so much better. Their performance improves. It's not a coincidence, right? It's just science. And it's also not just about what you eat, but also how much you eat, right? You could still have like a super clean diet, but if you overeat, like you'll still be able to gain fat. The thing is, it's just a lot harder to overeat when you're eating properly, right? When you're eating real whole foods because they're much more satiating. They have a lot more nutrients in them. So you're going to be less inclined. Plus, because of real foods, there aren't a bunch of chemicals in there that are designed to have you keep on eating it and not feel, full. So overall, right, you can overeat on healthy foods. It's just a lot harder to actually do that. Okay, proper balance. You weren't designed to live a life traveling with Tupperware, tracking all your food, weighing it, looking at the back of labels. Like, I don't want to become a professional label reader and do all the math in my head of how many servings there are for the entire box versus what I'm actually like. I don't want to do that, right? Like, I want to be able to actually live my life with a sense of freedom. And you should be able to go out and enjoy a night out with your friends, with your family. If you're traveling, outside of the country, you should be able to go out and have these foods and eat these desserts and not feel guilty about it. Food is supposed to be a source of fuel for us, not supposed to tie us down and reduce our freedom, right? You got to take the right approach, but if you do it properly, you can enjoy everything that you want, right? Again, like if you want to travel the world and enjoy cultural foods, enjoy these desserts, go to Italy, have some gelato, have some pasta, all these things, you can do it, right? And you don't have to worry about tracking everything, right? As long as you follow systems in place, everything will work out. And again, if you want to have dessert, you can do it too. But you just have to be disciplined with eating whole foods, right? I'll get into it more in a second, but eating a lot of whole foods, knowing how much you're eating, right? And then as long as you have everything in balance, you can still have a little bit of fun out here and, do whatever you want as well, having the desserts, going out, drinking, okay? But let's get into the actual strategy of it. So the F1 blueprint, okay? F1, I think it's so sick. I've never been to an F1 race, but I want to go. They are like high performance machines, some of the highest performance machines. They're multi-million dollar cars, and the drivers are insane athletes as well. You combine this incredible performance machine in some of the most beautiful areas of the world, right? They're in Monaco, one of the most expensive countries to live. There's like these massive yachts out there, and they're just whipping through the streets, going crazy, right? It is incredible. But in order for all of that to happen, for the vehicle to perform the way that it needs the right fuel. And for those people to be on the yachts witnessing this incredible event, they need to have made sure that they did all the right things in balance to actually be able to afford the ticket to go there and enjoy the experience. So let's kind of dive into the strategies behind how we actually maximize our performance as if we were an F1 car, right? Or an F1 driver. The first thing is we need to start eating more whole foods, okay? This is the single most impactful change that you can make. Whole foods, we've evolved to eat whole foods, right? We've been eating whole foods for thousands and thousands of years. It's not until, recently within the last 100 years that we've had a lot more processed foods in our diet. Although they taste very delicious, right? It's not real. And there's a bunch of chemicals in it. It's designed to make it so that we want to keep on eating it. And there's less micronutrients in it where you're not going to feel as good. There's artificial dyes, colors, all this stuff, right? It's just not good for you. Okay. What you'll notice as you start eating more whole foods, because it has more micronutrients, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have less hunger overall. And so as a result, you're going to be getting a better source of fuel. You'll be eating less in terms of like a caloric standpoint, even though you can eat a ton of volume, right? Because whole foods typically have fewer calories than processed foods, which in return is going to lead you to having a better physique. Now, kind of my rule of thumb with this is you want to try to take like a 90-10 approach. Most people say 80-20. Okay, here's the issue. If you take an 80-20 approach, if we just treat it like you're being graded in school, you're 1% away at an 80-20 from getting a C, right? So if you get a 79, you're getting a C, and a C is average. So if you want an average physique, like you can take the 80-20 approach. If you want a respectable A physique, then take the 90-10 approach or the 95-5 approach. So 90 to 95% of the time, you're eating only single ingredient whole foods. 5% of the time, eat whatever the hell you want, or 10% of the time, eat whatever the hell you want. The higher the number, the better you're going to look. Okay, so that's how you can still go out. You can enjoy some desserts. You can enjoy some ice cream, gelato. Go out, get a slice of pizza, whatever you want, so long as the majority of the time you're eating single ingredient whole foods, eggs, ground beef, sweet potatoes, and going into my next thing, a bunch of fruit, right? Fruit is one of the best things. The more I started eating fruit, the better my physique came, the better I felt. Fruit is extremely hydrated. The water in it is structured. It's extremely satiating. It's low calorie. It's a good source of fiber. It's going to curb your sweet tooth. This is literally nature's candy, right? We don't even need candy. There's never a need for candy because fruit is literally some of the best tasting stuff you can ever have. If you go on a long enough fast and you reset your taste buds and then you have fruit, you'll be shocked at how flavorful and delicious it is. All right, so the more you start cutting out all this processed bullshit and you start eating more whole foods, your taste buds will literally start to reset and you'll start craving more whole, real foods. And you realize how good these foods actually taste. So I love breaking my fast in the mornings with some fruit. I love having fruit as a snack. If I'm traveling, fruit is a great go-to food. So eat more fruit. It's going to help with your performance as well. Again, it's very hydrating. It's a good source of water. And it's a good source of fiber as well. And then the last thing, okay, is your personal menu. So this is a menu from In-N-Out. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating for In-N-Out, but I grew up in California. In-N-Out is a staple here. If you've never been to California, I'm sure you've heard of In-N-Out, okay? But here's the thing with In-N-Out. That is their menu. They got a double-double, cheeseburger, hamburger, french fries, shakes, soda, coffee, milk, hot cocoa, and water. That's it, right? They have a couple stuff, like a couple other things on their secret menu, but for the most part, this is it, right? They make burgers, fries, and shakes. That's it. And they have mastered that. That's why whenever you go to In-N-Out, there is always a line. You'll never go to In-N-Out and not see a line because they have perfected their craft and they make what they make damn good. Okay, so there's only a couple things and people always look forward to eating these things. So you need to treat your kitchen like a restaurant in the sense that you have a set menu. There's like 5 to 10 different things that you can kind of make that if you pulled up and you said, hey, I'm pulling up to Bennett's restaurant. I got Bennett's menu. Let's see what he's got for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, versus if you go to the Cheesecake Factory and they have literally a fucking book, just a menu of different options, but all of them are just like kind of average. You don't really know what you're going to be getting. There's so much variety. You don't even know the difference of how many calories versus how many protein because there's just way too many combinations and again, too much variety. Versus you go to In-N-Out, you know, okay, if I get the double-double, it's 600 calories. It's, 40 grams of protein. If I get the cheeseburger, it's 420 calories. I know the French fries are 360 calories. They have a ton of carbs. There's no protein, whatever the case, right? So another comparison I like to give is kind of like Chipotle. So again, not advocating for Chipotle, but the model is awesome. They have their base, which is rice and beans. Then they have their proteins. Then they have their toppings. So there's only like 15 things there. But because you can switch up the variety constantly, it feels like you're eating all these different foods. But every single time, okay, I have my base of carbs. I get the rice. Personally, I don't get the beans. One day you might get the steak. The next day you might get the chicken. Then you'll get the barbacoa. But you're always getting a protein. Okay, then you have your salsas. You get a little bit of cheese. You get a little bit of guac. One day you switch up the salsa. One day you get cheese. You don't get cheese. One day you get some guac. One day you get some of the dressing. So every single day you're eating kind of similar foods, right? But because there's enough variety, everything switches up. You get some new flavors in there. It's great. So for yourself, you have to design some sort of menu that you look forward to in your own place, that you absolutely love and that you know will help you hit your goals. So if you're constantly having different meals, you're only going to make things harder for yourself. Like, can you still get in shape having a bunch of variety? Yes. But for me, I'm simple. I have a yogurt bowl that I make pretty much every single day. It's got Greek yogurt, a bunch of fruit, honey, goji berries, coconut shreds. I love making eggs, ground beef, steak, sweet potatoes, white rice, and I have a ton of fruit throughout the day. Like, that's kind of my personal menu, and I kind of just mix in some variety here and there. But every single day, it's very clear for me and very easy for me to know how much protein I'm getting and about how much food I'm eating. Again, I don't track any of my calories, but because I know based off of volume of what I consistently eat on my own personal menu, it makes it very easy for me to understand whether I ate more or less. But again, if you're switching things up every single day, it's going to only make things harder for you. So by eating this way, by eating more whole foods, eating more whole fruit, and having this personal menu, it is going to lead to performance for you, right? It's what has made me be able to perform in the gym, level up my calisthenics, level up my running, and most importantly, level up my physique, allow me to shred body fat and build muscle. Okay. Then on the other side, we have the lifestyle. So we want to go to Monaco. We want to see the F1. We want to jump on the yacht. We want to enjoy ourselves, right? While we're at the race, we don't want to be like the athlete who has to just be super, super strict that entire weekend and he's going to lose 15 pounds just a water weight. Like, we want to enjoy ourselves. So when you're traveling, how do we actually do that, right? I know a lot of you guys probably are on the road constantly with work. Maybe you're traveling for fun. You're going to Europe for the summer. You have some weddings, whatever it is. Let's dive into it. Okay. The first thing that's going to help you is you need to focus on protein first. So whenever you go out, if you're going out to eat, the first priority is I need to get protein, okay? And not just you need to order protein, but that needs to be the first thing that you fill up on. So don't fill up on your carbs and fats, or like they come out with, some bag of chips or some bread rolls and you have like 3 bags of chips, you have 6 bread rolls. By the time your main course rolls out, you don't even want to eat it. You only eat half the steak. Then you eat the mac and cheese and the baked potato and all this stuff. And then the protein's just sitting there, right? We don't want that. Okay, we need to fill up on protein first. Skip the chips, skip the bread, just hit the protein first. If you want to eat the bread and chips after that, by all means, go for it. But you got to fill up on protein first. This is going to help with muscle growth and muscle retention. And it's also going to help lead to eating less empty calories, right? If you go to a restaurant and you order the steak, you order the chicken, you eat all that, you fill up on that first, you're not going to want all of the other appetizers and sides and whatnot. If you still want to eat it at that point, sure, treat yourself, have some fun, do it. But you're just going to, as a result, eat less of that had you not filled up on protein first. So when I'm going out, I like to get double, sometimes even triple protein of whatever I'm getting. And again, that's what I want to fill up on first. That's my priority. I got to eat the protein. Once I eat the protein, I can dive into the other things. If I want to save room for dessert, I can do that as well. Okay, next is hydration. When you're traveling, right, you're going to be walking down the street. You're going to be smelling a bunch of different foods. You're going to be seeing different foods that you've never had. And a lot of times you'll probably be tempted to have things. And it's not even because you're hungry, right, but rather you're just dehydrated. And so everything is going to sound good to you. I don't know if you've ever experienced this when you wake up in the morning. I know for me, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm starving, right? But I'm not actually starving, right? I just go drink a big glass of water and instantly, like 10 minutes later, I have no desire for food anymore. I was just dehydrated. So you're not hungry, you're just dehydrated. Make sure that when you're drinking water, you're also adding in electrolytes, okay? Especially if you're sweating a lot. Here's the thing with hydration, right? You don't just get hydrated by water, right? Water or hydration works kind of like Velcro. There's 2 sides of it. So you got the water and then you got the electrolytes. The water needs something to stick to, and that's where the electrolytes come into play, and that's kind of how they Velcro together. When you see athletes that are on the field and they start cramping in the middle of a game, it's not because they haven't been drinking water. Of course, they've been drinking water. They're obviously thirsty, but their body's depleted of electrolytes. So there's nowhere for the water molecule to bond to. As a result, your muscles start cramping. That's where you run into issues. So you want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water and you're also adding in electrolytes. It's going to help you feel more full. And it's just going to overall help your performance as well. And then the last thing, right, that I love to practice when I'm traveling is fasting. Okay, fasting is an extremely underrated way to provide your body with a multitude of health benefits, as well as allow you the opportunity to still feast when you eat. So if you're eating breakfast, lunch, you're having a snack and having dinner, especially when you're on the road, if you're eating most of your foods while you're out, going out to eat is calorically more dense than making food at home, right? Their job is to make the food taste good. So they're going to use a bunch of different oils, a bunch of fats, a bunch of different seasonings because they want you to enjoy your experience and have a good tasting meal. So nothing against them. It just happens to be more calorically dense. So if you know you're going to be going out to eat most of your meals while you're traveling, then practice fasting. So skip breakfast, just have water or coffee, have some electrolytes, have a light lunch, right? Have some fruit, and then go out and you can have a feast of a dinner. Or if you want to have like a normal lunch and a normal dinner, you can do that. And you don't have to worry about going over on your calories because you skipped breakfast. So you don't need to have four, small little meals. You could just have 1 to 2 meals where they are bigger. And so when you eat, you actually get that full feeling. Like I like to eat to fullness. I don't like to have to stop that feeling of like, oh, I wish I could eat more. Right. So I'd rather fast through the morning. I like to go till like 2, 3 o'clock. And that's pretty easy once you start fasting for a while. Again, break your fast with something light. Sometimes I'll do a yogurt bowl. Sometimes I'll do fruit. Depends where I am. It's way easier to make a yogurt bowl on the road than you guys might think. You just stop into a grocery store, get some yogurt, get some fruit, combine it, boom, you're good to go. If not, if you want to stop somewhere and grab a light lunch, you can do that, okay? But fasting is going to allow you to still go out, eat dinner. If you want to get dessert while you're out, you can do that. Odds are you're probably walking a lot more while you're on vacation, so you're moving your body more than if you were at home, like sitting at a desk all day. So you're going to be burning through more calories, which is great. But by implementing, these 3 things, this is what leads you to be able to actually live a lifestyle that you enjoy and not having to worry about losing your physique. So this is me on a boat in Miami, right? Practicing everything I just said. In Japan for 2 weeks, was still able to enjoy the foods, was able to go to some crazy restaurants. If you haven't been to Japan, they have some of the best food ever, but I was able to enjoy myself, right, and not set myself back. I was able to stay and maintain the progress that I was making, even while I was abroad, while still enjoying everything because I practiced these things. This is an Oktoberfest, right? Having a giant pretzel, having some beer, because again, I practiced fasting. I made sure I was hydrated before going out and drinking a ton. Electrolytes before drinking is a total game changer, and after drinking. And I made sure I got plenty of protein before going out. Right. So again, I was able to maintain the physique that I had. I don't come back from vacation and look on the scale and have it be up 10 pounds. That doesn't happen. Right. And then again, just on a boat, having some fun. I think I got a Miller Lite in my hand or something. Like, I want to enjoy my life. Right. I want to have the full F1 experience. I want to be on the yachts, enjoying life, not stressing about, does this fit my macros? Am I going to be able to do this? Well, I need to have my Tupperware meal. No, I don't want any of that. Right. So by practicing these things, the F1 blueprint allows me to live my life, have an extreme performance when I'm at the gym or when I'm running, and still enjoy my lifestyle, right? Not having to sweat any of it. Okay, let's go into the next section. So the next section is the Spartan Way. I'm getting so passionate. I got to keep on drinking some water because my throat keeps getting dry. But so let's talk about the Spartans. The Spartans were absolute savage warriors. Okay, there's a movie about them. They are goated in history. The 300 Spartans, right? They would take on armies multiple times their size. Okay, but why? How can a small army defeat another army multiple times its size? Okay, and it comes down to 3 things, right? The first thing is multiple skill sets. So if you look at, a normal soldier, they were going based off of just sheer volume. They needed as many soldiers as they could get because they didn't have the soldiers that they had weren't very skilled. They had really cool looking gear, right? But like maybe they were all right at fighting, and they didn't really have very good defense. They were just kind of really resulting or they were hoping that the sheer number of soldiers that they had was going to help them win the war. Whereas the Spartans were like, no, we are going to become like the deadliest force ever, because every single person here is going to be extremely skilled. They're going to be extremely disciplined. We're going to be extremely good with our defense. Our strategy is going to be incredible. We're going to be skilled with a spear. We're going to be skilled with a sword. Our shield will even be a weapon as well as a defensive mechanism. Like, we will be skilled in multiple areas. We'll be extremely fit. So if we need to run, if we need to have our endurance, we will be totally fine. So in order to become the ultimate athlete, like, you can't just live your life in the gym. You can't rely on sheer volume of, I'm just going to go to the gym 6 times a week and, that's going to serve me, right? You must also test your athleticism in multiple capacity. Otherwise, like, what's the point of putting on all that work to gain muscle and actually look good, right? Nobody wants to be that guy that looks like he's athletic but isn't, right? The Spartans, they had purpose behind their training. They knew why they were doing what they were doing. So when it comes to, having multiple skill sets as the ultimate athlete, you got to be lifting, right? You got to be building muscle, because muscle is going to make your physique really pop. Again, it's what's going to gain respect, and it's what's going to allow you to have some power behind your punch. Okay, you need to have some real world strength, and you need to receive respect from those around you simply with your physique. Your physique says a lot about who you are as a person, the discipline that you have, the consistency, the long-term vision, right? There's a lot of information that's conveyed simply by the way that you look. Like it or not, it is a reality, and first impressions are a real thing, okay? Beyond that, right, again, you don't want to just look athletic. You want to actually be athletic. So incorporate something else of some form of athleticism. Does it have to be running? No, right? The reason I like running is it's the most efficient way to burn calories from a time standpoint. It allows you to shred body fat, right? So you get these deep cuts, you get your abs popping, you have a low body fat percentage, so your muscle pops. But on top of that, like, it improves your endurance. You're able to explore new cities. You meet new people by running and not just being at the gym 24/7. I always run in the middle of the day. I take my shirt off so I get tan, right? But again, you don't have to just run. If you like playing basketball, you can play basketball. If you like swimming, go swimming. If you're into like pickleball or walking, or you're into golf, like, when you go golfing, don't take a cart. Walk every single time, right? Is that going to make you the most athletic? No, but it's still going to improve your endurance. You can get some zone 2 cardio if you're going up some hills and you're playing 18 holes. Maybe you play 36 in a day, right? Like, not a lot of people can play 36 holes of golf in a day. But the point is, like, you want to actually have some sort of purpose behind your training. What is your training? How is that actually helping you in life? Okay, how is that helping you somewhere else? And then the things that you're doing with running or with golf or with whatever sport you're playing should complement what you're doing in the gym as well. It should make you more flexible. It should make you just overall a better athlete, so that your performance in the gym also goes up. So you got to focus on multiple skill sets. If you're just a one-trick pony that's only working to, max out their bench in the gym, it's not really going to do a whole lot for you long term. Your muscles are going to tighten up, and then when you're 40 or 50, you're not going to have the body that you wanted to. So therefore, it's not sustainable. Again, we're looking for something that we can do for the rest of our lives, right? You're not going to always be benching, 305 in the gym. So you got to start learning other ways to maintain your health long term. And that's why, again, running, walking, pickleball, yoga, whatever it might be for you, find something that you like and get after it. Okay. Next, the reason that the Spartans were able to take on armies multiple times their size was discipline, right? The Spartans were extremely disciplined in their formations, obviously their skill sets. When they were younger, they had a coming of age ceremony, I think at like 7 or 8. It was very young, where they had to go out in the wilderness on their own. I think they had to go, kill an animal or survive for like multiple days at a time to really test if they were a man. And the weak died. Like, they literally would just kill off the weak. They needed to make sure that the warrior to their left and to their right was extremely disciplined, had their back, and was going to increase their chance of survival. Okay, so the same thing with what you're doing every single day, you need to have discipline in, right? If you want to go out with the boys, you got to wake up with the men. So if you want to go out, party with your friends, if you want to go to the club, if you want to go to these festivals, if you want to just have a good time, right? Go have some pizza, a bunch of ice cream, whatever the case may be, whatever your quote unquote bad is, you got to have the discipline to get out there and get after it that day, the next day. You can't let that set you back, right? You got to trust that that version of you is going to be supporting the better version of you, and that the better version of you is supporting yourself and being able to go out and go to the club or go to a festival and be confident in the way that you look, and know that that's not going to set you back by going to these festivals or whatever you're into. That it's not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to gain a bunch of weight, I'm going to lose discipline when I get back, like whatever, right? The Spartans, they were one balanced team that all worked together. Everything was in unison. These formations that they would make were extremely important for their success at war. And so it's the same thing with yourself. Like, you have to have one balanced approach. The way that you train, the way that you eat, right? Whatever else you do throughout the day, they all kind of got to work together. So I make sure that I eat the best possible food so that it fuels my performance. My performance fuels the way that I look. The way that I look helps with my confidence. Then it allows me to go out, have a ton of fun. And then because I have a ton of fun to go out, I still have the discipline to come back, show up to training, eat the right way. I don't let it get me off the tracks, right? I have to stay disciplined. So this was me in Miami a couple months back. Went to Space. This is leaving at like, I think 7 or 8 a.m. Went from Space to the gym. Okay, straight to the gym. After the gym, went and found the healthiest food option I could. This place, they use no seed oils. I got some steak, some chicken, some green beans, some sweet potato, and I got a bed of white rice underneath there. Absolutely fueled my performance after the gym. And then once I ate all of that, about 2 hours later, I went on a run around Brickell Key. So I went and had my fun, right? But I made sure that I stayed disciplined with everything else after that. Now, do you have to do all of this every single time after you go out? No, but at least show up and do something for yourself. Go to the gym, eat clean. Don't just order takeout and DoorDash some bullshit food. That's going to set you back even further. That's going to mess up your mood. That's going to, increase your body fat. We don't want any of that, because then it's just a negative spiral, right? We want to keep things moving in a positive direction. So you have to be committed to this, right? You only got one life, right? We want to be able to maximize this as much as we can. And discipline is the thing that will help set you free, right? It's what makes everything worth it. So you got to be disciplined, okay? And then the last thing is one big goal. The Spartans, they wanted to be the most powerful and efficient army in the world, right? They weren't looking to be the biggest army in the world. They wanted to be the most powerful, man for man. They wanted to just absolutely destroy everybody else and be proud of the fact that they only did it with 300. So with that, there was no wasted energy. Everything that they did was with intentions. The Spartans, they relied on their strategy, their brains, their endurance. And so as a result of that, one Spartan was worth like 10 other soldiers, right? They used less resources. They were more tightly knit. They could support one another. They trusted one another. And because of that, they were able to win war after war, battle after battle, and come back victorious, right? Because everything that they did with intention, from the way that they trained when they're at home, the way that they ate, the way that they raised their children, and the skills that they taught them was all for one purpose, right? And that purpose was to become the most badass army in the entire world, right? And that's why to this day, there are still legends about the Spartans. So you have to have the same thing. You have to have one big goal, one very clear North Star. You have to have a goal on the calendar that is going to push you, that will hold you accountable to make you better. So for me, like a year, or 8 or 9 months ago, I said I wanted to run my first marathon. I'd never run a marathon. The furthest I'd run was a half marathon, 13 miles. And I was like, all right, I want to run a marathon, and I want to do it in under 4 hours. I started training for it and ended up coming, and I did a 3:58. So 2 minutes shy of my goal time of 4 hours, hit that marathon time, and I was stoked. Didn't even know if I could run 26 miles or not, but ended up doing it, and I hit it in my goal time. It was absolutely incredible. When I completed it, at the time, I only had the goal. I was like, I just want to run one marathon to say that I ran one marathon, and then I'm good. But as soon as I finished the marathon, I had about 2 minutes of joy. And then I realized that I was like, I could do better. Like, I didn't really give, my full effort, and I could definitely do better with my effort on the race, the way that I trained, the way that I fueled everything. And so After that, a couple months, like I think 2 months later, I signed up for my next marathon, which was 6 months down the line. And I said, I'm going to take 30 minutes off my time and run it in under sub 3:30, which is more than a minute per mile faster than what I previously did. So this was a really big goal. I put it out there publicly. I was posting it on social media. I was telling all my friends about it. I was always running, always posting about it. People knew exactly why I was running every single day because I had this goal of running a sub 3:30 marathon. Okay, this was my North Star. The issue is that most people trying to get in shape, they don't have a North Star, right? Other than just, oh, I want to look good, or I want the scale to say a certain number, or I want to see something when I look in the mirror. If you have nothing else that you're working towards beyond that, it is going to be so easy to lose motivation and to lose consistency and just fall off track. But if you have a clear target and a sense of direction, it's always going to make it easier to, overcome these roadblocks. So throughout that training block to train for that marathon, there were a lot of roadblocks that I ran into, right? There are issues that I ran into with shin splints from running, with traveling, with friends that wanted to go out and do things. And I'm like, okay, I got to stay on track. I have this goal. I've been talking about it publicly. Like, I got to make it happen. So everything that I was doing had to work in unison and kind of had to support each other to actually make this goal happen. So I was going to the gym and I changed up my training style to support my goals for running the sub 3:30 marathon. I had to focus on building more strength in my legs and I had to improve my flexibility. So I started stretching more. I started doing more yoga. Obviously, running a marathon, I had to increase the total mileage I was running and increase the speed. So this is a screenshot from my Strava. You can see this is where I started to get my shin splints. And I started to come back, and this is my mileage each week. So I peaked at 41 miles, I think 2 or 3 weeks before the marathon. And then throughout this entire training block, I had to fuel myself properly to support not only my running, right, but also I wanted to maintain my physique. I didn't want to just lose all my muscle, right, to run a faster marathon. Like, I wanted to maintain a powerful physique and run a faster marathon. So with all of that, I was training really hard. I was running hard. I was eating clean. I needed to make sure that I was sleeping well, that my body was recovering, because they all needed to work together in unison, right? And here's the thing, like, something I kind of think about sometimes is my first goal was to run a sub 4-hour marathon, and I ran a 3:58. So 2 minutes to spare. My second goal was to run a sub 3:30 marathon, and I ended up getting it by 32 seconds, right? Barely got it. That was one of the best feelings ever, but I ran a sub 3:30 marathon. And I started to question, I'm like, is the only reason that I ran those times because that's what my goal was? If I had a different, more aggressive goal, would I have achieved more, right? And the answer is probably, okay? And that's because the goals that you have will determine how you train, how you feel, and how accountable that you hold yourself. So there has to be congruency between everything that you do. If I had a faster goal, my training would have changed a little bit, right? Maybe my fuel would have been even more dialed in. But most of you guys don't even have a very big goal. You don't have a North Star, and it's not very aggressive. There's not this big goal. It's not pushing you. It's not creating any sort of sense of urgency in you. And you don't feel any pressure to actually achieve it. It's just, I want to get in better shape. You want to get in better shape for what? Right? Why do you want to get in better shape? What is that going to allow you to do as a result of being in better shape? Is there something that you've always thought about doing that you want to do? It doesn't have to be a marathon, right? Maybe it's you want to go compete in a high rocks. Maybe it's you want to go climb a certain mountain. Me, my dad, and my brothers and uncles, we did a stand-up paddleboarding trip for, I think it was 30 miles around a bay in Costa Rica. Like, that was insane. I didn't know I could do that, but that was one of the best experiences of my life. So it doesn't have to be a marathon. I think it's better if you can do a group activity where everybody's been training for something and they all show up and you get the chance to perform. But it doesn't need to be that. But you need to have something on the calendar that's actually pushing you, that's going to get you out of bed, that's going to help you train, that's going to help you eat cleaner, and it's going to help you adjust your training style, right? Having one big goal is going to make a massive difference in your life. So definitely do that, okay? And then the last thing, tying this all together, is the monk mode myth. Here's the thing. You don't have to lock yourself away in a room for 6 months, sacrificing away memories, experiences, and living a boring life to get ahead, right? Monk mode's become super popular nowadays, where these guys will go to another country, they'll lock themselves in a room, and they'll build their business. They'll work out a ton. They don't talk to the outside world at all. And then they resurge and they're a little bit different. Yeah, they made some progress in their business, but then again, like it's such a shift into this new life compared to what they were doing previously that it doesn't really make sense. There's too much contradiction there. And in the game of life, like there are multiple correct answers. And here's the thing, I have discovered how to live your life the fullest while not only staying in shape, but actually getting in better shape. Like that's the thing, you don't have to do this monk mode thing. It's important to remember, like there's this quote I love. The man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. Right? You can only stay in monk mode for so long. It's a temporary thing. Right? But the cool part about the ultimate athlete lifestyle is that it can be maintained 365 days a year. It's designed to be maintained 365 days a year because that's how you're going to make the most progress. If you have something that you genuinely love, right? You don't love the destination of, oh, I just want to get shredded and get a six pack, but I want to live this lifestyle. This is the way that I want to eat. This is the way that I want to train. This is the way I want to travel and experience life. If you design your life to be like that, so that you can do it 365 days a year, that is the most sustainable, right? This is how I travel the world and go to festivals, party with my friends, run marathons, and pack on muscle all at the same time, right? You can have your cake and eat it too, right? You got to be disciplined. You got to be very intentional and aware of everything that you're doing, but I'm telling you it's possible, and I'm proof that it's possible, and my clients are proof that it's possible. Right? I have clients who have completely transformed their physique, all while still traveling the world, enjoying their life, gaining new experiences, new memories, and they're just getting started. It's not some 90-day challenge where once you're done with it, you're just completely over it. Like you want to keep on living this way because it's addicting. Once you start realizing how simple it is to actually go out and enjoy your life and eat a certain way and look a certain way, you never want to go back. So contrary to popular belief, like the gym doesn't have to be your life, right? It doesn't have to be your entire life. It can be part of your lifestyle. It can complement your life. Too many men lean too far on both ends of the spectrum. They even go full monk mode, they either go full monk mode and accelerate their business and discipline, or they just go full degen mode and they party like there's no tomorrow. They're going to Vegas, they're pulling all-nighters, they lose a bunch of money, right? All of this shit happens. The main issue with both of those is they're just not sustainable. You shouldn't feel like you have to escape your current life to get ahead. The best approach is one that you can do 365 days a year and never feel like you have to cheat, right? I never feel like I'm cheating because I'm not. Nobody likes to cheat, right? You don't want to be caught cheating in school. You don't want to be caught cheating in a relationship. Like cheating is bad, right? And so why should you feel the same way in your life where you're like, I have to cheat off my diet or I have to cheat off my plan, right? You need to create a plan where it just complements your lifestyle and you can still do the things that you can enjoy. You can still eat the foods that you enjoy and you're never cheating. You're just living, right? That's how I've been able to travel around the world, going to Bali, coming back, going to Coachella. Right after Coachella, 1 week later, competing in my first triathlon. Then going to Japan for a couple weeks. You guys saw a picture of that earlier. This is me running in front of Mount Fuji. This is one of the coolest runs I've ever been on. So still going out, still traveling, still enjoying myself, but staying disciplined, right? Because coming up a couple weeks after this was a marathon, right? But before that marathon, I went to Burning Man for a week, enjoyed myself, had a ton of fun, made lifelong memories, met a bunch of really cool people. Then a couple weeks later, ran my first marathon, 3:58, just under 4 hours, okay? Incredible feeling. After the marathon, started to increase my size, my strength, my athleticism, added new skills to my repertoire. And then I was like, hey, you know what? Let's do another marathon. Boom, 30 minutes quicker, sub 3:30. I ran a 3:29 marathon. So all of this, right, you can see throughout this entire process, my physique just kept on getting better and better and better while I was still enjoying my life. So again, you can have your cake and eat it too. You just have to follow these principles that I laid out for you. And it is possible, okay? You just have to follow the plan. Create a lifestyle that you absolutely love. Follow these basic fundamental rules, and you can achieve something absolutely incredible for yourself. And the best part about this is, again, there's no finish line, right? This is just your life. So every single month, every single year. You're going to keep on improving. You're going to keep on getting better. Your physique's going to look better. You're going to pack on more muscle. You're going to gain more experiences. You're going to travel more. You're going to get to say yes to more things that you absolutely love. And you're not going to feel guilty about it at all, right? Because you trust yourself, you have the discipline in place, and you're able to stay on track. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're interested in learning more about all this stuff and you want a more customized approach and you're interested in one-on-one coaching, there's a link in the bio. You can click on that, submit an application. We'll see if we're a good fit to work together. Check me out on Instagram. There's a link in the bio as well. I post on there pretty much every single day. You can see how I live my life, what I'm eating, how I'm working out, all that stuff. You can just kind of follow my progress along there. Shoot me a DM there if you have any questions as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun making this. And I hope that this is just proof to you guys that there are other ways of living your life that don't have to be extremely restrictive, where you can go out, you can enjoy foods that you can love, you can create lifelong memories, and the entire time you can enjoy yourself doing it while you look good too. So appreciate you guys sticking around, and I will see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.